Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right. My name is Peco Forsman, and I'm a native to this community. Been here since Dirk was young, I think, but for a right good while. And so I'll tell you right up front that at one time, a few years back, my wife and I actually owned this place, but I'll get to that after a while. In the early days of Silverhill, when this store opened in 1902, Mr. Theodore Johnson opened this store, and it was the only general store in the area. Highway 104 didn't exist. Highway 55 didn't exist. Robertsdale didn't exist. So if you wanted something, it was just the grand place to come because it came here. And you could buy it here. It got here by coming up the river on a steamboat down to what we call Silverhill Landing. Silverhill Landing was very close to, if you go down there, there's a sign that says Farragut's Landing, named after Admiral Farragut. He actually was never up there, but anyway. But it was close to there. Then this stuff would be put on a wagon and would be drawn by mules or horses and brought here for sale. Mr. Johnson was noted for his support for the community in the early days because times were hard. Most everybody was a farmer. You couldn't go to a bank, there wasn't one. You needed to go to a big store. You couldn't hardly do it. You had to go catch a steamboat either down in the river or go down to Fairhope some way or another, figure out how to get there to get to a boat to go to Mobile. So that tells you that this particular building and this particular store, general store, would become very popular. They sold everything in here from saws and axes, farm supplies, feed for the cows, groceries for human beings, plumbing supplies, farming implements of all kinds, stuff like that. During my time as a youngster, and some of you out here I know are from Silverhill and know about this stuff, but along the porch out there were pipe, galvanized pipe. There was hog wire, chicken wire, barbed wire, shovels, hoes, axes. Back down on this end, there were cases of empty Coke bottles, and that was just out there. If you needed something, they were closed on Thursday afternoons and Sundays. So, if you had a pipe that broke or a fence you needed to repair and nobody was here to sell it, you just came up to town and you got it. The next time you came to town, you paid for it. People were honest back in those days, and they're mostly honest today too. But that's the way it was. Now, in 1909, it's interesting around here. Understand there's no bank. Money is very scarce. I mean, good U.S. coinage was very scarce. And here in People Supply Company, they had People Supply Company money. And Mr. Kitchens over here has a couple pieces that I'm holding, and you can look at it, and it says one of them is a dollar coin and one of them is a 50-cent coin. It says in trade. So the way that would work, since there's a lack of money, the way that would work would be if, some of the big crops around here were cucumbers. Cucumbers, strawberries, things like that. So if I had some cucumbers that I wanted to sell, and I came up here to the store, and there's no money to buy cucumbers, Mr. Johnson could buy those cucumbers for some People Supply Company money. When money became available, this could be redeemed for U.S. currency. But in the meantime, trade could carry on just as if it was real money. And that's based after a money scheme called the currency market scheme that was invented in the Isle of Guernsey in about 1825 off of England. And it worked real well. Now, let me look at my notes, see how far off track I've got. In 1906, there was a hurricane, a major hurricane that went through. It did terrible things to a lot of Baldwin County. And one of the things that it did in the store here was that it wrecked the building just a little bit. And if you look, not right now, but later, if you look at a picture that's back by that printer back there, if I remember it, you'll see angled braces going down from the store, down both sides. They were put up to keep the store from being wrecked again in a storm. The last of those braces was just taken off a few years ago. They were right over here. I think when I don't know, did the bank take them down?
I think Dr. Spall.
I think the doctor, when he remodeled, took them down. I don't think he knew what he was doing, but he did. Anyhow,
Let's hope the building doesn't fall over.
He didn't ask me, but anyhow, but that was an interesting thing that they put those up there. In 1928, this store was sold to a George Marinas from Loxley. He was a businessman up there and had a store of his own. And he brought down Mr. Chandler and another gentleman to run the store, Mr. and Miss Chandler. Did a good thing there. It ended up pretty quickly that it was just Mr. Chandler and Miss Chandler running the store. And he ran that store for 45 years, up until in the early 70s. Now, Mr. Chandler, I had the good pleasure of knowing him quite well. And I know there's several other people in here who knew him quite well. He was a fine, fine man. And he and Mr. Marino determined. He determined with Mr. Marinas during the 1930s, the Great Depression, that they weren't going to let anybody start. So they ran credit, gave credit to people. And many of those people never, ever knew how much money they owed because he never told them. They come going. He told me after he had sold the store, and we were talking one day, he told me that, many years after he sold the store, every once in a while, someone would come and say, well, I owe you X because you helped me way back when at some time. And he said, he didn't even remember it. They'd come pay the bill. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. During the Second World War, his reputation as a businessman and his ability to contact people and get what he needed was obviously pretty doggone good, because he could get things that nobody else could get. He could get chocolate, he could get barbed wire, he could get all kinds of stuff that people couldn't get. He'd have it here at People Supply. Now, People Supply Company served a large area. It was the Walmart of the day. I mean, really. People came from all over central Baldwin County to shop here because they could get what they needed. And during the Second World War, he told me that Mr. Marinas, who still owned the store at that time, came here twice during the war and took $50,000 cash out of that safe that sits right back there in the corner. That's a lot of money, folks. If you think about it, what a dollar's worth today and what it's worth back then, that's a huge amount. During the Second World War, there was a problem. Things like copper were in scarce supply because it was being used to make shell casings and what have you for the war. And so it's a short supply. State of Alabama needed to raise revenue. Of course, like today, I reckon they were broke then, just like they are now. But anyhow, they had to raise revenue, and they charged tax on things. They used tax tokens. Look like that. And here, big around, short around. And those tax tokens, you notice they have a hole in them. I guess all the value ran out or something. That's what the hole in them. But anyhow, that one there is worth a penny. And you paid your sales tax with that. Now, when you before you leave this room, if you would like, Mr. Kitchens over here has a box with some of those in it, and each one you can have one if you would like to have one. Just as a collector's item. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I got a gobs of them. Actually, I think they're worth absolutely nothing.
How did you obtain those?
What?
The tax.
Tax token? I found them in a box here when
No, how would someone back then obtain them?
I would imagine that it was, I don't know, but I'm guessing that you maybe would buy a certain amount of tax tokens. I don't know. I'm sure that's how it was. You know, during the Second World War, you were paying with tax tokens. You had ration cards for sugar and things like that. And if you wanted it, you had to come up with a ticket so you could get X amount of sugar and all of that kind of thing. Mr. Chairman had it all. He sure did. Now, he continued to run this store up until, I think, 1972 or 3. Let me think, I'll tell you. 72, I think it was, when he retired. He and Miss Chandler retired after 45 years of running the store. He had acquired the store. He and Miss Chandler acquired the store in the late 40s, so it became theirs. He was a fine man, and she was a fine lady. And when you came in here to serve in those early days, in the 40s and the 50s, you came in here to shop. You would come through this back door with a list, and you'd hand it to either Mrs. Ina Curtis or Elsie Chandler or Eloise Chandler or Mr. Chandler, and they'd go around and gather all the goodies up for you and put them on a counter like that one that gentleman sitting on back there. There were counters like that all over here. They put it on the counter where the cash register was, and then you'd go up and pay for it. In here there were groceries on the shelf there. Tobacco products back over kind of behind the counter. Up there on top of the counter was curved candy dispensers. You come in there and you could get candy for a little bit of nothing.